Okay, buckle up because we're about to time travel back to ancient Egypt. You see, there's this incredible ceiling in the Dendera temple, even bigger than the one in the Sistine Chapel. And it's not just a pretty picture. Think of it like a giant map, but instead of countries and continents, it charts something even grander, time itself.
That's precisely it. This ceiling isn't just decorative, it's a complex tapestry of astronomical knowledge, myths, and gods, all woven together to create a practical guide to understanding the cycles of the universe. And for the ancient Egyptians, time wasn't some abstract concept, it was the very rhythm of their lives, intimately intertwined with the rise and fall of the Nile, their gods, and even their beliefs about life and death.
All right, so we're talking about a civilization deeply in tune with the natural world. Our guide for this deep dive is Jose Maria Barrera and his book Dendera, Temple of Time. He spent years painstakingly recreating the ceiling from photographs, and not just to see what it looked like, but to uncover the why behind it.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Barrera doesn't just catalog the details, he delves into the practical application of this astronomical knowledge. He shows how the Egyptians used their observations of the sun, moon, and stars to manage their lives, especially their agriculture, which was entirely dependent on the Nile's unpredictable floods.
So imagine needing to know precisely when to plant and harvest, with a river that could rise or fall without warning. It makes you realize just how vital accurate timekeeping was for their very survival.
Absolutely. They couldn't just look at a calendar. They needed to read the stars, understand the cycles of the heavens to ensure a successful harvest. And this is reflected beautifully in the ceiling's layout.
So let's talk about that layout. What are we actually looking at here?
The ceiling is divided into 7 panels, each depicting a different cycle of time, moving from the shortest, the sun's daily journey, to the longest, the solar year itself. And throughout, you'll see this intricate interplay between their gods, myths, and these very practical observations of the heavens.
It's like their mythology and their daily lives were inextricably linked.
Exactly. Take the central panel, for example. It depicts the pharaoh, arms outstretched, unifying Upper and Lower Egypt, but look closer and you'll see he's flanked by Nekhbet and Wadjet, the vulture goddesses representing those two lands, their wings outstretched as if protecting him. It's a powerful visual reminder of the pharaoh's divine role as unifier, a role reinforced by the very cycles of time depicted around him.
It's like each panel tells a story, but those stories are also giving us this incredible insight into their beliefs and their understanding of the cosmos.
Precisely. And speaking of stories, let's move to one of the most captivating panels, the East Panel 1, where we encounter the sun god Re on his daily journey across the sky.
This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of their timekeeping, right? How they actually divided up the day.
You got it. The Egyptians didn't just divide the day into 12 hours. They envisioned each hour as a distinct entity, embodying its own divine energy and represented by a specific goddess. You see, to the Egyptians, each hour wasn't just a measure of time, it was a living entity, imbued with its own divine energy.
So it's like each hour had its own personality almost.
Exactly. And this is where Brera's details really bring it to life. He describes these 2 solar boats, the Matet and the Semket, that carry Re across the sky. The Matet, representing the morning boat, is all about strength and vitality, while the Semket, the evening boat, takes on a more subdued, even funereal tone as the sun descends.
Wait, so the actual boats change throughout the day?
Well, not literally, but symbolically, yes. It's about capturing the sun's changing strength and energy as it moves from dawn to dusk.
I'm picturing these magnificent boats, adorned with symbols, ferrying the sun god across this vast celestial ocean. And the imagery for each hour changes to reflect the sun's journey.
You're getting it. For instance, the second hour shows the sun god as a child, just rising, full of potential. And then at the 10th hour, we see an image of a mummy in the boat.
Whoa, that's intense. From a child full of life to a mummy.
It's a powerful reminder that even for the sun god, this journey wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. The mummy at the 10th hour foreshadows the sun's approaching death, the descent into the underworld as it prepares to be reborn again at dawn.
That's such a powerful way to represent the cycle of life and death, even for a celestial being. It's not just about timekeeping. It's about weaving their deepest beliefs into their understanding of the cosmos.
You're spot on. And as we move from the sun's daily journey to the next panel, we'll see how this theme of cyclical death and rebirth takes center stage with the moon and its connection to Osiris, the god of the underworld.
Okay, so we've journeyed with the sun, got across the sky, witnessed the cycle of life and death woven into their very hours.
It really is remarkable.
Now we're shifting our focus from the sun to its celestial counterpart, the moon.
Right.
What mysteries does the Dendera ceiling reveal about the moon's significance to the ancient Egyptians?
Well, just like the sun's journey is about more than just daylight, the moon cycle depicted on West Panel, that goes far beyond just marking the nights. This panel is all about the moon's intimate connection to Osiris, the god of the underworld, and the concept of cyclical regeneration.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How did they connect the moon to this idea of death and rebirth?
Think about it. The moon goes through these phases, waxing and waning, appearing to disappear and then return anew. To the Egyptians, this mirrored the story of Osiris, who was murdered by his brother Seth, but then resurrected through the power of Isis, his wife.
So, just as the moon returns each month, Osiris is reborn, symbolizing the triumph of life over death. It's like they saw this constant cycle playing out right before their eyes in the heavens.
Precisely. And it wasn't just about Osiris either. This cyclical pattern resonated throughout their worldview. It was reflected in the flooding of the Nile, the changing seasons, even the daily journey of the sun.
It's fascinating how they found these echoes of life, death, and renewal in so many aspects of their world.
And speaking of echoes, Barrera highlights an interesting debate surrounding one particular scene on this panel, a scene open to different interpretations. One scholar sees the moon in this scene as being in a state of gestation, about to bring forth new life. Another sees it as being diminished, perhaps even threatened by the god Seth.
Oh, wow. So even with something as seemingly straightforward as the moon's phases, there's room for debate and multiple perspectives.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes studying ancient culture so fascinating. We can analyze the evidence, consider different interpretations, but sometimes we have to accept that there are mysteries we may never fully unravel.
It's like a puzzle that's missing a few pieces, but that just makes the pieces we do have even more intriguing.
Exactly. And what's even more fascinating is that the Egyptians didn't just see these cycles playing out on a cosmic scale. They recognized them in the rhythms of their own bodies. Barrera points out the connection they made between the lunar cycle and the menstrual cycle.
That's amazing. So they saw these natural rhythms as interconnected, a reflection of the larger cycles of the universe.
Yeah.
They were really paying attention to the world around them, weren't they?
Absolutely. They were incredibly attuned to the natural world, and their understanding of time wasn't just about marking off days or months. It was about recognizing these deeper patterns, these cycles that connected them to the cosmos and to life itself.
It makes you realize how much we might be missing by not paying attention to those rhythms in our own lives. We're so caught up in our clocks and calendars that we forget to look up at the stars.
You've hit on something important. Their connection to the cycles of nature wasn't just philosophical. It was essential for their survival. Remember, they needed to know when to expect the Nile's floods to ensure a bountiful harvest.
Which brings us to the next panel, and another fascinating aspect of their timekeeping, the decans and their role in mapping the night sky.
You're right. Let's move on to that. But before we leave this lunar realm, there's one more detail I can't resist sharing.
Oh, I love the details. Lay it on me.
Okay, so remember those two solar boats, the Matet and Semkets, that carry Re across the sky?
Yeah, it's the sun god's chariot, right?
Exactly. Well, the Egyptians imagined that during the night when Re journeyed through the underworld, he switched boats and boarded the Nektet.
The Nektet, what's that?
It's his night boat, a vessel specifically designed to navigate the perilous waters of the underworld.
Wow, so they had a whole mythology built around the sun's journey, even when it was hidden from view. They weren't just looking at the sky, they were imagining these elaborate stories playing out across the heavens.
Exactly. It wasn't just about what they could see, but about the stories they created to explain the unseen, the mysteries that lay beyond the reach of human eyes.
It makes you wonder what stories they would tell about black holes or distant galaxies if they were alive today.
Oh, I bet those stories would be incredible. But speaking of stories, let's dive into the next panel and explore how the Egyptians used the stories themselves to navigate the night sky and mark the passage of time.
Okay, lead the way. I'm ready to unlock the secrets of the decans. All right, so we've explored the Egyptians' intricate system for tracking time at night using the stars as these guideposts.
It's really quite ingenious when you think about it.
But what about the biggest cycle of all the year itself? That's where Nut the Sky Goddess takes center stage, right?
You are exactly right. In the Dendera ceiling's grand cosmic ballet, Nut is the breathtaking backdrop against which the drama of the year unfolds, East Panel the Third and West Panel the Third. The outermost panels are her domain. Imagine looking up and seeing not just a flat ceiling, but Nut's arched body forming this incredible celestial dome.
Wow, that's one way to make a statement about the importance of the heavens. So how did they show the year unfolding across her body?
Well, on the east panel, the third, which represents the beginning of the year, we see Nut, her body, adorned with constellations swallowing the sun disk. It's a visual representation of sunset, the end of one cycle, and the promise of a new dawn. Then on the opposite panel, west panel the third, she's giving birth to the sun disk, marking the start of a new year.
It's like this beautiful, a continuous loop played out across Nut's body, with the sun being reborn each year.
Yeah.
No wonder the Egyptians were so fascinated by cycles. They're everywhere on this ceiling.
Exactly. And it wasn't just the overall cycle of the year they were tracking. They were also paying close attention to specific constellations and their movements throughout the year. And this is where Barrera really brings it home for me. Those constellations weren't just points of light. They were deeply woven into the Egyptians' beliefs, myths, and even their practical lives.
Oh, I love this part. It's like their version of astrology, right? What were some of the key players in their celestial lineup?
Well, take Taurus the bull, for example.
Mm.
To the Egyptians, Taurus was a symbol of strength and virility, and it held a particularly important place in their cosmology.
Why? Was it because of when Taurus appeared in the sky?
That and more. You see, due to a phenomenon called precession, basically a slow wobble of the Earth's axis over thousands of years, the constellations we associate with certain times of the year actually shift over very long periods.
Hold on, so you're telling me the zodiac signs we know today weren't always where they are now?
Exactly. And thousands of years ago, when the Dendera temple was built, Taurus the bull held the prestigious position of being the Princeps Signorum Coelestium, essentially the first sign of the zodiac.
Whoa, that's wild. It's like looking back in time and seeing the stars themselves in a different arrangement. Okay, so Taurus was their celestial VIP. What other constellations were important to them?
Well, given their dependence on the Nile, it's no surprise that Aquarius, depicted as the god Happy the water bearer, was incredibly significant.
Makes sense. He's like the celestial Nile god ensuring the lifeblood of their civilization.
Precisely. And speaking of water, we can't forget Sothis, or Sirius as we know it today.
Sirius the dog star. Isn't
Yep.
that the brightest star in the sky?
That's the one.
Yeah.
And for the Egyptians, its appearance on the horizon just before sunrise, after a period of being hidden, coincided with the beginning of the Nile's inundation. It was like a celestial alarm clock signaling the start of their agricultural year.
So they're tracking the sun, the moon, the constellations, even individual stars like Sirius draw.
Hmm.
Their knowledge of the sky is incredible. It really makes you appreciate how deeply they understood the interconnectedness of the heavens and the earth.
Absolutely. And there's one more detail that blows my mind. They didn't just track the fixed stars, they also observed and incorporated the 5 visible planets into their cosmology.
No way.
Well,
They could identify the planets with their naked eye.
they could. They saw them as wandering stars, and each planet was associated with an aspect of Horus, further demonstrating their sophisticated understanding of the cosmos.
It's mind-boggling what they were able to accomplish without telescopes or any of our modern technology.
Mm.
This entire ceiling feels like a testament to their patience, their observation skills, and their ability to find patterns and meaning in the world around them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It really makes you wonder what we might be missing, even with all our fancy technology. What subtle cycles, what cosmic connections are we overlooking in our busy modern lives?
That's a really good question. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dives into the Dendera temple ceiling. It's been an incredible journey exploring the ancient Egyptian understanding of time and the cosmos.
It certainly has. And you know what I find most fascinating? Even though this ceiling was created thousands of years ago, the cycles and patterns it depicts are still relevant to us today. It's a powerful reminder of our connection to the natural world and the enduring legacy of human curiosity.
Absolutely. So the next time you gaze up at the night sky, take a moment to remember the ancient Egyptians and their awe-inspiring quest to understand the universe. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you next time.